It's getting so close to kickoff that Jimmy and I just can't wait anymore. We've got to give you our predictions for the year.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson as me, Jimmy Stein as him. This episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Love me some Bird Dogs. Just got some new joggers from Bird Dogs. Oh, I love these things so much. It's too hot to wear them right now, but I will be wearing them. I won't be jogging, but I will be wearing them. Jimmy, one thing that I promised everybody I would do if we get to the 6,000 subscriber mark, I want them to get to the chorus. Got to hear the chorus. Okay, that's enough of that. We did get to 6,000 subs. We actually got to 6,040 something subs. So man, you guys are the best. We appreciate y'all so much. Thank you so much. Seriously, Roll Tide, all that stuff. Having said all that, Jimmy, and with the knowledge that we want to talk predictions, which is what we're
having said all that, let's now disappoint everyone with our predictions.
Let's go ahead and Debbie Downer over here. Juju Lewis, who I absolutely coveted, who is the quarterback for Caleb Odom, committed to Alabama. He is committed to USC today, out of the blue. I mean, nobody saw this coming. This was very quick. He's probably going to reclassify. At least they're going to try to. He's going to play for Lincoln Riley. I guess it makes some sense. There's probably some NIL. Lincoln Riley's had quarterback success. All that is very true. But man, I just, when I saw Juju Lewis the other day throw the rock around to Caleb Odom and just for his team in Carrollton in general, I thought he was fantastic. I really did. I thought he was awesome. I thought he had a lot of Bryce Young in him, and I just loved him. And I was thinking, this is who I want Nick Saban to ride off into the sunset with. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it is a little disappointing. We've been recruiting Juju Lewis hard for a while. It's crazy how young these kids are now that become such high priority and famous. Think of this, Juju Lewis is famous in football, recruiting from one end of the country to another, and he started his 10th grade classes this week. And he's known from one end of the continent to the other, recruited by everybody. And we'll see. There's still a long way to go. I'm sure he's trying to get in the 25 class. If that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, there's a long way to go to signing day, and a lot can happen. But hey, as usual, there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. There is an outstanding 2026 quarterback in Nashville who's really good. There's a 2026 quarterback in Jackson, Alabama, Landon Duckworth, who's got half the SEC offering him already. Big kid. He's good. But Jared Curtis in Nashville, watch for him to become a high priority for Alabama with the Juju Lewis stuff up, potentially added to USC.
And of course, Alabama's still recruiting McIntyre out of the Nashville area too.
The 25 group.
That's a 25 class, I know, but I'm just saying that it not all is lost. But
even Deuce Knight, and everybody can watch him play Friday night. Watch two 2025 quarterbacks Alabama's recruiting. KJ Lacey, who's committed to Texas, but Alabama's still working on that. And 2025 quarterback from Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, Deuce Knight, who's originally from Lucedale, Mississippi, which is really close to Mobile. Deuce Knight, will play KJ Lacey and Saraland Friday night on ESPN. So check it out.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. In fact, I'm calling the Thompson-Opelika game that night. By the way, this is something that's just interesting to me. At least most of the high school games I know of have been pushed back to 8 o'clock for heat. And I applaud the AHSA for making that move. I dig it. But, I mean, man, these high school games aren't going to end until, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it's going to be a long Friday night in the heat for a lot of folks. But, hey, football's back, so we'll learn to deal with it. All right, Jimmy, let's go ahead and jump into some predictions. We'll do one prediction here before we take a break. but we got time to do one. I want you to go ahead and predict your breakout player or players for this year.
Mm-hmm. For Alabama, I'm
For
assuming
Alabama. For Alabama. It's Locked On Bama.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, hey, I do quite a few shows. I do have to be reminded here and there. But no, this is the Bama show, and let me tell you about what I think is going to happen on offense. It's kind of hard to predict because, the quarterback up in the air, how are we really going to be pass heavy? I want to mention Malik Benson because I do think he'll be a breakout player to an extent. He's new, and I think he's going to be a significant player. Amari Niblack will also be a significant player in this Alabama offense. I believe that. But a true breakout player in terms of like who the country is going to be talking about, I'm going to go with two backs, Jace McClellan and Jam Miller. I think those two in particular will be big stars in college football this season, and they will make national reputations for themselves. So I'm going really with that being my answer, Jace McClellan and Jam Miller, with honorable mentions to Malik Benson and Amari Niblack. I think defensively, a little tough there in terms of picking out guys. And I know it's boring to say Dallas Turner, but I think Dallas Turner is going to have a monster season. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry will play up to his first-team All-American status. But I'll say Caleb Downs is going to be a huge breakout star in his freshman season. And what I mean is, folks, don't set your expectations that he's going to be one of the better freshmen in the country. I think Caleb Downs is going to be one of the better defensive backs in the SEC this season. I'm not going to predict first-team All-SEC, but I'm not ruling that out either. I mean, that's how good I think he'll be, and I think he'll be a national breakout star, even though he's a true freshman. I want to say Deontay Lawson. I think Lawson can be a big star, and I think he's a great player. There's just a track record of him being injured. I mean, he was injured in his freshman year, injured in his sophomore year. Now he's going to his third year. Looks healthy now. I think he's going to be a great player if he's healthy. So those are just a few of the names I think in terms of big-time stars this fall.
Okay, good. I asked you to name a breakout player or two, and you named most of the team.
I didn't want to be wrong.
Because I was going to go Deontay Lawson. I didn't think you'd really cover that one, but you did. And I will try and keep with the theme and go with one. And this is me being incredibly, incredibly hopeful too, because I've been down on this position group, and that's going to be Kendrick Law. I'm going to pick Kendrick Law. Has a great year. Now, I don't know he'll lead the team in receiving or anything. He's got sort of a Tyrone Prothro vibe to me, and I believe he's going to end up being a somebody. So I'm on the Kendrick Law train, and if I could have named another one, I probably would have gone Deontay Lawson, because while Deontay Lawson is well known in Alabama circles, I don't think he's very well known nationally, and I think that he's going to get a lot more publicity by the time everything is done. Jimmy, I need to tell everybody about Bird Dogs now. This is honestly, we got a bunch of great sponsors, and I don't want to rank them. I don't want to do any of that, but Bird Dog, if we were ranking them, Bird Dogs would be near the top. I got a bunch of their stuff now. I'll be honest with you, like there's so many other companies out there that sell this kind of stuff. It's hard to pick out who's best. I'm telling you, now that I've had Bird Dogs, they are the best. They make you look good and feel good. Bird Dogs, they have this stretch khaki shorts designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and give that leg and give you a truly sculpted look. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better. And trust me, my daughter's bought me some Lululemon shorts. They're good. They're great. They ain't Bird Dogs. They fit way better than regular shorts and that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed that issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks like khaki but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Look, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege or enter promo code lockedoncollege when you go to Bird Dogs for a free white tech hat with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, or just enter promo code lockedoncollege when you go to Bird Dogs. That free tech white hat. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. I promise you. I love these things. Jimmy, on the next Locked On Bama, we will get back. We'll have some practice to discuss. They are going to get back into practice today.
Mhm.
They took off yesterday, took off Sunday. It's time to get back in it. And pretty soon we're going to have us up a starting quarterback. So that'll be something to talk about. All right.
Yep, Shark Monday, next Monday. Yep, Shark Monday. That I think people make way too big a deal over, but we will make a big deal of it here.
Oh, we're going to blow this mother right out of proportion.
All right.
So anyway, let's go with who you think will be the team MVP. Now, I want to preface it by saying, Jimmy, when I say team MVP, you can give me your candidates and then pick one, but you can't pick 19 MVPs. Just letting you know.
Team MVP, Dallas Turner.
Ooh, okay. Well, I mean, now you can explain it.
Oh, well, I mean, I talked about him a lot during the breakout thing. I think he's going to have a monster year. I think it's going to, I'm not going to compare him to Will Anderson. That's not fair at all, to Will or to Dallas. But I think Dallas Turner will have a season that statistically compares to, let's say, Will in 2022, and maybe not Will 2021, because those numbers were like right out of PlayStation. But I think Will's 2022 is weirdly underrated by Alabama fans. Weirdly, he happened to win every national award there was based on what he did in the 2022 season. I think Dallas's numbers could approach or match that. So I'm going to go with Dallas Turner, who I think will be a game changer for Alabama every week. And I think Alabama defensively, how about this? I think Alabama will have the number one total defense in the SEC for the first time since probably 2017.
When people say, Luke, why do you mute? Why do you even take a chance? That's why. Because my daughter FaceTimes me all the time, and I love her. And my daughter's my daughter, and she's 16, and I love the fact she wants to talk to her dad. But she'll FaceTime me anytime, and most of the time it's during a podcast. And if I'm muted, which I've made a concerted effort not to mute it all today, just to try and be nice, then see, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, bottom line. Anywho, my team MVP. I have given this some thought as I'm driving to Indianapolis. I was thinking about this before I knew I'd stop and we'd do the podcast. I'm narrowed it down to three. Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I believe your pick of Dallas Turner is great. I love that pick, but I'm going to go off the path. Kool-Aid McKinstry, because I think he can be the best player and such a tone setter. I don't know verbally how he's going to be as like the team MVP, but I think or team leader, but I think he can be the best player on this team. Then I thought, is this so crazy to say Will Reichert could be the MVP? Is that nuts?
Not crazy at all.
Okay.
Not crazy.
Now, to do that, Will Reichert's going to have to hit some game winners or game putter awayers, which means that if he does that, we're probably not having a great season because we're in too many tight games. By Alabama standards, when we usually blow people out. Then, Jimmy, I am itching. I am chomping at the bit to name this guy the MVP, and people don't think I'm nuts. Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
I love him that much. I think he's going to be that good. And that now, I understand I'm talking about two defensive backs and a kicker. So everybody's like, what are you talking about? I mean, I would argue at least Antonio Langham's been an MVP in the past if we were doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You could make an argument Minka Fitzpatrick's been a MVP in the past. You could make an argument George Teague to some degree has been MVP in the past. Now, some of those guys are a long time ago, but I'm so high on Caleb Downs. I'm almost like this is a total Bammer in me coming out about Caleb Downs. And I've tried not to Bammerific things too much, but I'm Bammerizing this.
We have as many as 9 defensive backs that are still vying for starting roles. 9. That's an amazing number. 9 defensive backs. But there are 3 guys that you can take out your rock right now and chisel their names into the lineup. Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's the best cornerback in America, Malachi Moore, who's about to enter his 4th year as a starter, and Caleb Downs. I mean, Downs is in the lineup. And there's 6 other guys vying for about 3 other spots. Arnold, Earl Little, Jalen Keed, Trey Amos, Devontae Smith. All those guys are trying to win a role. Kool-Aid, Malachi, Caleb. They will be out there on every snap, regular, nickel, and dime. They're not coming off the field.
All right, Jimmy, let's take a break. When we come back, let's get into our SEC and National Championship college football playoff predictions. And we're back. As you can see by the beautiful background, I'm at the Hampton Inn in lovely Bowling Green as I pulled over to do this. I feel like I'm in an interrogation room right now, but whatever. SEC predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, I've noticed lately the new trend is to pick LSU to win the SEC West. Like everybody's picking Georgia. I'm going to be hard pressed not to pick Georgia, but to win the SEC. But a lot, ESPN, CBS, I mean, a lot of these places are picking LSU to come into Tuscaloosa and win, and have a tiebreaker that will essentially end it. And I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I'm picking Alabama to win the West. I do think there will be a loss. I don't know where that loss will be. There are a lot of opportunities. Another Auburn friend of mine talked to me the other day and said, I'm picking Alabama to go 9-3. And I said, well, what are the losses? I'm just curious. Texas, Tennessee, and LSU, he said. I said, no, wait a minute. We haven't lost a home game since the national championship winning team of LSU, which had one of the best teams in college football history, and we lost to them by 5. And you're telling me we're going to lose 3 home games this year. That just doesn't make sense. That being said, I could see us losing one of those 3. I just and if I could also see a loss at A&M under the right conditions, but I think or God forbid a loss at Auburn just because that place is cursed. But in the end, I just think we lose one game. That's enough to get us to the SEC championship game. I will very humbly and sadly say Georgia will beat us in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, I'm going to predict basically the same. I think I'm going to pick Alabama to win the West, and Alabama versus LSU. It's at home and it's later in the season. I think that game is very likely to determine the West, and I like that it's at home. I could see Alabama losing to Texas A&M. I think there's 5 losable games. I think there's only 5 that I see as like Alabama could lose at A&M, at Kentucky, which reminds me a little bit of the A&M game in 21. I think one of those 2 games could be a loss, and then the 3 home games against really good teams, Texas, Tennessee, and LSU. I think any of those 5 Alabama could lose. I'm going to say they're going to lose one of those 5. I'm with Luke. I think they'll lose one of those 5 games. If I had to pick one, I would say the game at A&M, based on the fact of Alabama's road record the past 2 years has been highly questionable. So I'll say a loss at A&M, 11-1, and then you go to Atlanta to play Georgia. And, I'm not going to pick Alabama to win that game or win the SEC. And, I'm just saying it's quarterback. Not that I'm down on the quarterback situation. I'm actually excited about all 4 quarterbacks, Lonergan, Buckner, Simpson, and Jalen Milroe. I'm optimistic about any of them, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that there's an SEC championship winning quarterback there yet. I'm going to be a little bit Missouri, and you're just going to have to show me that before I can get on board with it. So I got Georgia winning the SEC and heading to the playoff. Could be 2 SEC teams in the playoffs. Alabama could be a second LSU. I don't rule out Texas A&M as a playoff team either, but Georgia, Alabama, LSU would be the order I would put potential playoff teams from this league.
And man, trust me, if there's anybody out there saying y'all are crazy, we want to be wrong. I really do. And I'm trying not
to root to be right. I'm going to root for Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rooting for them, and I'd love to, but I mean, I just have so many questions about us. I love this program. I love where we are, but at the same time, I'm being real when I look at Georgia's schedule. I mean, Georgia's not going to have a test until the SEC title game. That may hurt them. We're
doing bold predictions. I'll say this also, though. I think Georgia's going to lose in Knoxville to Tennessee.
Could. But they really don't have much of a test. They have maybe a test and a half with Tennessee and at Auburn. They have a test and a half. And that's it. And so you got to feel like they're going to get there. They'll get there pretty. You can look at it two ways: either they're not tested and so they're vulnerable, or they're not tested and they're safe. They're rested.
I'm not picking Georgia to win the national championship.
I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to.
You can't win 3 in a row. I mean, I'm just going. I'm not going with, hey, there's a particular problem with this Georgia team, or I don't believe in Carson Beck. No, no one's won 3 in a row since like Minnesota in the 40s. I mean, I think they're going to lose because it's just impossible to win 3 in a row, or near impossible. So I have them losing in the playoff.
Okay, here's where, and I'm predicting this right now, but I can change my mind. I could also change my mind about Alabama losing the regular season. Am I muted? No.
Well, we're going to make a prediction every week about the game, and like I said today, I'm saying Alabama's going to lose to Texas A&M. We get Texas A&M week, and we'll see how the season plays out. I might pick it the other way when we get there.
Yeah, this is subject to change. I will say Alabama and Georgia both make the playoffs. And you say, Alabama's got 2 losses. But I think if Alabama has 2 losses, I think they're going to be both very close losses. And I think that if you have, like losses like last year, and Alabama almost got in last year, but this year's schedule is more difficult. I think they'll get more credit for it. I don't know if it's more difficult. It's pretty equal. And I'm assuming we play Georgia, so that would make it more difficult. But then I'm having a hard time. I'm going to go Michigan because Michigan's schedule is complete bunk. And I think they beat Ohio State again. I think Jim Harbaugh has Ryan Day's number. And therefore, I think Ohio State's going to lose another game. And so I don't think Ohio State gets in. Then I'm having a hard time with who is next. But I believe I've settled on, and this may be a bit controversial, Clemson. I want to say USC. I really do, because, I mean, they've got so many weapons. Their offense is so dynamic. But do we know they can stop anybody? And I think last year they didn't even play Washington and Oregon, and they couldn't make it. They lost to Utah twice because they can't play that style of ball. So I'm going to go Clemson, Bama, Georgia, Michigan for the moment, with probably Bama, Georgia in an opening round, and Clemson, Michigan in an opening round. And then I'm going to say, why don't I say Bama, Michigan for the championship, and Bama wins it all. How about that?
Well, okay, so you've got Alabama not winning the SEC, but winning the national championship.
Happened before.
It has happened before. It has happened before. I'll say Alabama with at least a second loss to Georgia doesn't get in. I think it's going to be. I'm with you on Clemson. I like this Florida State hype, and it's not like I don't like this Florida State team, but Clemson beat Florida State handily a year ago. I got to see Florida State beat Clemson before I predict it.
And I think LSU will beat them.
I think LSU will beat Florida State too. So I got Clemson coming out of the ACC, Georgia out of the SEC, Michigan coming out of the Big Ten. I think I'm with Luke. I think Michigan beats Ohio State again. Michigan's got the most. Michigan may have as many as 16 players drafted in this upcoming draft, and I think J.J. McCarthy is a really good Heisman pick too. Because when I'm picking a Heisman, my first thought is, okay, give me the quarterbacks of the playoff teams, and I think Michigan is almost the most obvious playoff team, really, Michigan and Georgia, and I like McCarthy over Beck. So I like Michigan out of the Big Ten, and my surprise playoff team, if you want to call it a surprise, I like Texas to either lose to Alabama and then run the table in the Big 12 and get in, or beat Alabama and maybe even have a Big 12 loss. They would still get in as long as they won the Big 12. I like Texas. I think they got dudes all in the right places, and we'll see. Sark has always found a way to lose games, so I'm not adamant about that pick. It's my out there pick a little bit, but I've got Michigan winning the national championship. They might not beat Georgia. Georgia might beat them. I just think Georgia winning 3 in a row just doesn't sound right to me. Michigan winning the national championship doesn't sound right to me either. But again, 16 draftable players, an experienced quarterback, and a team that's been in the playoff in back-to-back years. I think this year Michigan knocks the door down.
that would be something, and we'd never hear the end of it. But so I'm not pulling for it. But all right, Jimmy, that's going to do it for today's podcast. These predictions are subject to change. This is just
we'll do the same. We'll do this show again tomorrow and probably have different answers.
That is very true, because a lot can happen between now and then. You know, Jim Harbaugh suspended for the first 3 games, so who knows? But all right, we'll be back tomorrow with more. And until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.